Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast powered by ComEd. It's getting easier for your business to switch to electric vehicles. Learn more at comed.com/clean.
Clean.
It's the only time I have to say that today. Spoiler alert. It's Thursday.
Because it's ComEd.
We're here. It's Greg Boyce and it's Mario Terabassi. We got Greg Braggs the second behind the producing roles here.
So formal.
Today. Jay Zawoski, still on vacation.
Did you see his post on Instagram last night?
With the stormtroopers?
No. So I guess he was at, I believe it was Magic Kingdom. I don't know if that's any different than Disney World.
It's one of the, yeah.
But let me pull up his Instagram here.
Disney World park.
He was, yes, Magic Kingdom. So he's just strolling through Magic Kingdom last night, and it is empty. Like, not a person there.
I read his wife's Facebook. They paid extra to stay after closing.
Oh, okay,
like
gotcha.
they were able to stay from they paid extra, and I guess you could park closes
like a little
at 11,
VIP thing,
and you get to stay till 1 a.m. and basically
you get it to yourself.
Hope said that they rode every ride they wanted to twice.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess
that's much better than it being like, why is no one there? Right. That's how I read it off his Instagram. I was like,
guess the whack job's won after all. There's nobody there.
I was like, I know the Chiefs and Niners are playing in the Super Bowl again, but we're not redoing all this 2020 stuff, are we?
Yeah, no.
I was like, that's a little weird.
They paid extra to stay after closing,
gotcha.
which I think
that's
tempting.
That's nice to know that Jay can be the VIP at Disney World. That's pretty nice.
He's got the big cash rolling in. Now we know where all our super chat money is going.
Yeah,
so
it
Jay
goes
could
to
stay
Jay
after
at
hours at
ALLCITY.com.
Well, we got a very surprisingly fully packed show today with no games going on. We're at the All-Star break, but there's lots to talk about. And then we're going to start by, we'd feel remiss if we didn't acknowledge the Team Canada scandal that's going on right now.
One of the biggest stories in the hockey world.
Yeah,
wanted to give it some oxygen on our airways, and
we've known this has been coming for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a story that's been in and out of the news for a while. We finally know who the 5 accused players are. 4 of them current NHL players, and 1 playing in Europe. Weird how he ran off to Europe, but innocent till proven guilty. But
they all have been charged as well.
Yeah, so we're talking Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, Michael McLeod,
Cal
Foot, and
Alex Formenton.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. So 2 Devils, a Calgary Flame, the Philadelphia Flyers starting goalie, and then Formenton's a former Ottawa Senator playing in Europe. And of course, the Flames kind of stepped in it, originally saying that Dubé was taking a leave of absence for the team for mental health reasons, and I'm sure having pending sexual assault charges does affect your mental health. But to mask that, they then claim that we didn't know. Call them bullshit on that. Nobody believes that.
I have a hard time believing that, but I mean, I don't know. They're gonna have to kind of explain themselves a little bit further.
Well,
on
our next topic, they kind of made everybody in Calgary look the other way real quick. Funny how the timing of those things happen too. But so we know the players now. They've all surrendered themselves to London, Ontario police. Mm-hmm. They're all leave of absences from their team. It's going to be interesting what happens there. We kind of have a better idea of the timeline. They're talking that this may not go to trial until 2026.
Yeah.
So you're talking almost 2 more years of this, and it's going to be a long, lengthy process. And I can't see these guys ever playing in the NHL again at this point. I mean, they're all saying they're innocent. Obviously, there's a lot of evidence that, to the contrary, to be able to bring 5 guys to trial, you have to have a lot of evidence. Supposedly, there's text messages and photos and videos. So if that's the case, that's not good. Those things don't tend to lie.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting what the players' union has to say about this.
Well, and we have the State of the Union of the league coming from Gary Bettman this weekend. Being that it is NHL All-Star weekend, he's going to speak to all the media and stuff. But don't expect anything of that because it's Gary Bettman. He is a former lawyer. This is the NHL. If they don't need to say anything or don't want to say anything, they won't. And because it now is all going to be going through the court process, the legal process, like they're not going to be able to say anything legally. So, from the NHL standpoint, that's there's really nothing going to be divulged about it. But once the All-Star break is over and everyone goes back to their teams, I think this is where, a situation where, we saw the Flyers come out and say next to nothing when Carter Hart took his leave, and, the Devils and the Flames, and they'll have to, be talking to local media and everything. So it'll be interesting to see what is said about it from the team perspectives. You'd like to think that, Team Canada, even though they've gone through a lot of changes since all of this has taken place and as the news has developed over the last few years, their whole board of governors is all different and everything. You'd still like to hear something from Team Canada relatively soon, you'd think. The London, Ontario Police Department has said that they are going to host a news conference next Monday at 2 p.m. To provide an update related to the sexual assault allegations involving members of the 2018 Canadian World Junior Hockey Team. So that will be where we'll get probably a lot of the information about what's going to happen moving forward and where they're at currently in the process. Rick Westhead, as he always seems to be, is on top of this story.
Yeah, he covers all the gross stuff.
Yeah,
so hats off to him.
Definitely not the kind of beat that I would ever want to be on, but he does an incredible job. Same as Katie Strang of The Athletic. So this information just coming from Rick Westhead here regarding the case. This is from the 28th, so earlier this week. It says several criminal lawyers who specialize in, and I just want to say, I want to preface this. If any of this language or anything is going to give anyone issues or anyone trouble, just want to let you know right now. You could skip ahead in the podcast, and we'll be over with this in a few minutes. But just wanted to lay it all out here, what these guys are facing. Several criminal lawyers who specialize in these types of cases have told me that over the past few days, they expect former 2020 or 2018 World Juniors players facing prosecution of sexual assault might face charges of gang assault and forcible confinement. If they are charged with that, it comes with a potential maximum sentence of 14 years if convicted. Now, we know that they have all been charged formally. This also from Westhead today, just about an hour ago. It says new court documents obtained by TSN Sports confirm that Dylan Dubé, Alex Formenton, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, and Cal Foote have all been charged with sexual assault. The document repeats the same allegations against each of the five players, but also adds on to Michael McLeod's charges that he is facing an additional charge of sexual assault for, quote, being a party of the offense. All players have pled not guilty to the allegations. Again, they were assigned to turn themselves in earlier this week. London, Ontario Police have till, I believe that's the 5th. They're going to be their next appearance in front of court will be the 5th, according to documents, and that's when we'll get the press conference. So, and like you said, like this is a situation where what we've heard is that because of the backlog of criminal cases in Ontario, that is the reason for the delay of potentially waiting 2 years before this even faces the courts. So that is unfortunate that there's no ability for this like high profile case to kind of be moved forward quicker for those seeking justice and everything. But hopefully, with the way things have gone with the investigation, this was investigated in 2018 when it is alleged to have happened by the London, Ontario Police Department, and they didn't move forward with it from there. They said there really wasn't enough evidence to move forward with everything. Now, a couple years later, it's brought to light again. We know the person that was the victim of this did reach a settlement with Hockey Canada, but when that news came out when that happened is basically when the news came out that, hey, this whole thing happened. So now they've gone in, they've taken a longer investigation. They've found a lot more evidence to actually bring charges. So now it's just the Canadian legal process of how it's going to play out.
Yeah, and we'll just have to wait and follow it along. There are 2 current Blackhawks who were part of that Team Canada event in Boris Kachuk and Taylor Radish. They both cooperated fully with the investigation. They are not part of the group attached to this criminal charges. So, thankfully, that's the case. The Blackhawks have had enough of these types of things over the last couple of years.
The less that we have to pay attention to Rick Westhead, usually the better. But this is definitely something that, it's even with, those 2 guys not being part of the charges, just kind of it's not guilty by association, but it is, you're rubbing elbows in that same world. So it is a little tough.
It's a little icky, but we just wanted to bring light to that, keep everybody updated. It is kind of the biggest story around hockey right now, and I think it would feel a little, we don't want to ignore it just because it's a tough subject.
Right.
And it technically doesn't have anything to do with the Blackhawks, but we'll just have to let the process hold. That's going to be a long process. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of motions and appeals that happen between now and that, if it even ever gets to trial. A lot of times these cases never do. We'll just keep you updated as it goes along and let the due process happen, and then the Canadian legal process run its course. And, if these allegations are true, then hopefully justice is served.
Absolutely.
All right.
Got there we go.
The heavy stuff out of the way. So let's talk about.
I need to take a shower.
What's that?
I said I need to take a shower.
Yeah,
it's not a fun story.
Yeah, for sure. It's
not
tough.
Good, but unfortunately, when you have to talk about the news, you got to talk about the bad things as well as the good things.
Yep.
You're in B, Herb. Yesterday, speaking of the Flames, they found a good way to get people looking in the other direction. They made a huge trade.
Yeah.
The Canucks and the Calgary Flames, 2 division rivals, making a big deal. The Canucks acquire former All-Star forward Elias Lindholm, who's been underachieving a bit this year, but he is a Calgary Flame, and they're kind of all in that same boat. Pending unrestricted free agent, and boy, did they give up a lot to get him.
They sure did.
Andrei Kuzmenko, who Blackhawk fans, myself included, were eyeballing, saying, hey, that could make sense.
He got into the news cycle.
But they gave up Kuzmenko, their top defensive prospects. Do you know how to pronounce that last name? Because I sure as hell don't.
Bruzewicz, I believe.
Bruzewicz. Okay, Hunter Bruzewicz. Another prospect, Yoni Yermo, a 2024 first-round draft pick, and a conditional 4th-round pick. That is a lot.
It's a lot
to give up for 30-plus games of Elias Lindholm. But the Vancouver Canucks are going for it this year. I had a lot of people say, well, why didn't the Blackhawks make that trade? Kuzmenko. Elliot Friedman said Kuzmenko, maybe the Blackhawks. He was sure. I'm sure Kyle Davidson made a phone call.
Yeah.
And then when was told what the asking price said, thanks but no thanks, and quickly hung up the phone. The Calgary or the Vancouver Canucks, they're trying to win a Stanley Cup this year. They're looking at what they have going on right now. You've got so many veteran guys having career years right now. JT Miller's having a ridiculous year.
Yep.
Brock Besser's having Elias Pettersson, you don't know what his future is going to be.
All-star.
Thatcher Demko.
All-star.
Quinn Hughes. You're having an amazing run, so why not go for it? You don't get these opportunities very often. And in a market like Vancouver that is, never won a cup, they're trying to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
If the Blackhawks called and tried to get a Kuzmenko, they don't have an Elias Lindholm to give them.
No.
And you're not going to give up a first-round pick for a guy that's going to be here for a year and a half.
No, not worth it.
So this is the Flames saying, we're not in it, Kuzmenko may help them.
Mm-hmm.
They got some nice prospects out of it. As it's Michael Evans says in the chat, Jeff Merrick compared Bruce Witts to Adam Fox.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's going to react to that totally rationally. But
he's the highest scoring defenseman in the OHL right now. He's third in the OHL in points. To do that as a defenseman is pretty impressive. So yeah, this isn't
right.
He's just happens to be the Canucks top prospect. No, he's one of the top prospects
when you have a Quinn Hughes
of that class,
you can.
Yeah, you
could trade him for something.
Yeah, and you brought in Philip Hronek too.
Right.
For nothing.
Right.
So yeah, you have.
What's your plan?
Yeah, you have some flexibility defensively there as well.
And then, as Adam mentions in the chat, making bum ass offers for Cabo Caco. Cabo Caco, the former number 2 overall pick of the New York Rangers, is supposedly on the market.
On the market again.
Rangers are that same ilk of the Canucks. They are going to try and win a Stanley Cup this year.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind, they're going to want more than broken down Tyler Johnson and Colin Blackwell and a mid-round pick. It's going to take, even though Kako has been underwhelming.
Super underwhelming. He started the year really well. I remember at the beginning of the year being has he kind of figured it out a little bit? Nope. He hasn't. He's on the cusp of bust territory, and for where he was picked, sure, can he still be a fine player? Yeah, I don't think you just give up on a 22-year-old guy, 23 years old, and just say he can't play in the NHL. But to be a second overall pick, you got to produce more than 6 points in 28 games.
I think the Rangers are going to try and make a bigger splash than Tyler Johnson and Colin Blackwell. Look what they did last year. Mm-hmm. They went out and got Vladimir Tarasenko and Patrick Kane. They're they may still want to get a Tyler Johnson. I know Elliot Friedman has mentioned it. They may want to get a Tyler Johnson, but
they may still want both of those kinds of players.
Right. But
it's not for...
You're going to have to give up more than that. Yeah. To get a Kako, a 23-year-old who still has the potential of being a pretty good NHL player in the right situation. I personally, not interested. I've seen enough of him. I know the Rangers have kind of, screwed his development a little bit. Having to play for Gerard Gallant didn't help. He was not put in early on in his career, he wasn't put in a lot of positions to succeed.
Yeah.
Coming to the Hawks could help that because he's definitely going to get an expanded role and not a lot of pressure.
Play right on the top line there,
absolutely.
Bud.
And he's not going to be on a lot of pressure to win like there was in New York right away.
Yeah, he was thrown into a situation where it was you need to be good right now. Yeah.
Hey, we drafted you number 2 overall, and hey, by the way, we just signed Artemi Panarin, and we gave Mika Zibanejad a whole ton of money because we want to win a Stanley Cup.
Go bring us to the promised land.
Be good right away. Yeah, there'll be less of that pressure here, at least in the beginning. I've just seen enough to where I'm not really that interested. If I could get him for just a Colin Blackwell and a Tyler Johnson, sure.
A mid-round pick. If they're selling him for pennies on the dollar, sure. But yeah,
I just don't think they are.
Yeah, same thing with my outlook for Kuzmenko and having that make sense for the Blackhawks. I was if you're giving him up for almost nothing, sure. But if you're paying the price of, hey, he's still recently a second overall pick, you need to still pay second overall pick price. It makes no sense for the Blackhawks to do that.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken here, as I stall to pull up the Rangers cap friendly, I believe
they're right up at
not Kuzmenko. I believe Kakko is a restricted free agent this summer. So obviously New York would want to move him before basically getting into a situation where you might lose him for nothing or have to trade his rights for even more pennies on the dollar. But for hypothetical's sake, if the Blackhawks were to bring him in, it's a low commitment because he's on a quote unquote expiring deal. So, I mean, if it is a mid-round pick or something like that, or maybe 2 mid-round picks, like 2/3 or something, Chicago could pay that to roll the dice, see what he does this year, and you have his rights going into the summer. I just don't think, from what Kyle Davidson has said and from what we're kind of seeing and what we'll talk about later today in today's show, there's a lot of pieces already in the system that I think Davidson believes in, that I don't think he's going to be too active to have to go and pluck from other teams unless he's completely convinced that whoever that player might be is the missing piece.
Right. I know people have mentioned, you can get the awful contract of Barclay Goodrow and no, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I don't want Goodrow taking up spots from young guys over the next couple of years.
Yeah, there will be some roster spots that are going to be opened up for prospects, but yeah, I don't think you need to bring in anybody that you don't already have a plan for.
Right.
They've extended Dickinson, they've extended Foligno, they've extended Mrazek. I think Davidson is really honing in on the guys that he is specifically looking at to play a specific role for this team. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to be all that active. If they do it, fine. We'll adjust on the fly to our expectations for the team, but I just don't expect that to happen.
No, Goudreau's contract doesn't fit the 2-year window that we're seeing, so
Right.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense for what they're trying to do. I'm sure, again, Kyle will call and see what the Kakko thing is, and I don't think the Rangers are going to dangle him out there, a young kid with a lot of control still out there, just to get a depth
for nothing.
piece.
Yeah.
They're going to want to get somebody that actually makes a major difference on their roster, but we'll see how that plays out. So we're going to pay a couple bills here, and then we're going to get into a little prospect update for you. But first, Mario's going to tell us about our pals over at FOCO.
Yeah. Hey, it is, if you want to get decked out in some of the best gear around, you want to deck out your home or your office or your home office or your basement or whatever in some of the best sports memorabilia around, you got to check out our friends over at FOCO. They have everything you want: hoodies, shoes, posters and signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. If you're going to a basketball or a hockey game, show off the love with some team-branded, I know this is right up Greg's alley, team-branded friendship bracelets. Hey-oh, you want to look just as cool as those Swifties? Get a Blackhawks friendship bracelet. Connor Bedard friendship bracelet. If you're not making them yourself, you can get them from FOCO.
Match the CHGO friendship bracelets.
Yeah, we got those at the beginning of the year.
I believe her name is Allie. Is that right?
Ooh, I gotta go back and remember it. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, appreciate those. We got those at was it Prospect Camp or Training Camp?
Training Camp.
Training Camp.
There were actual players there.
That's right. Prospect Camp there was nothing going on. Whether it's jackets or beachwear or overalls, there is something for fans for every occasion. And you want to get some of the best bobbleheads out there, go to FOCO. You can check out. We got a bunch of bobbleheads here on set. A lot of them come from our friends at FOCO, and we're going to be adding some bobbleheads on set here, as they have a plethora of Connor Bedard designs that have all sold out very quickly.
Can't get them.
But we'll have at least one.
Maybe we'll auction off one of ours for.
Maybe we will.
Not for charity, but
not for
us.
charity, for
us.
For pizza money.
Yes.
But hey, check out FOCO.
Get us to the draft.
Check out FOCO.com or click Click the link in the description below, and for all non-presale items, you can use the promo code CHGO10, and you're going to get 10% off.
And while you're stocking up your home office or your man cave or she shed with all this great merch from Foco, why don't you upgrade the floors?
Yeah.
Upgrade it top to bottom. When you need floors, you need to call our friends at Empire Today, where you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and most importantly, a low price guaranteed. Empire Today, they're legends in the Chicagoland area for a reason, because they're the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they're going to have legions of copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices, because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs, and that is just shady. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. They put a lot of thought and effort and time to get the best products, period, for your floors. Plus, they have this awesome virtual floor designer. It's the best way to see how new floors are going to look in any space. It's very easy. All you do is just snap a picture of the space you want to put the floors in, and you'll instantly see how your new floor selection will look in the room. It's better than trying to do the guesswork. You'll see exactly how it looks with the lighting and the colors of your decor. It's awesome. They also pride themselves on their convenient shop-at-home service. They help customers shop for floors where they use their floors, so they can see exactly what those floors will look like when you get them. Easiest way to make an informed decision. Plus, they service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, all you do is call Empire. They service all their warranties themselves. You don't have to track down a pesky manufacturer's phone number just to find out that company went out of business 20 years ago. Schedule a free in-home estimate today.
Been out of business for 20 years.
All listeners of CHGO can get a $350 off discount. That's a lot of money when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See Empire Today at empiretoday.com/CHGO for all the details.
Empire.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Good stuff from our
Speaking
pals
of Empire.
Yes. The
Blackhawks are building
building
quite
their
the prospect empire, aren't they?
Kyle Davidson Empire. He's going to have the last laugh. All you guys that want to get him fired are going to be like, I love him. He's the greatest GM ever.
Yep. It'll be nice. Everyone will wear their Nazar and their Moore jerseys and their Bedard jerseys at the parade. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
Can't wait.
So Mara and I are going to give you some 5 prospects that we've been keeping tabs on.
If you're new to the program,
yes,
Greg and I, we co-author the Blackhawks Rebuild Report each week during the thick of the season. It is a diehard only access.
Got to be diehard to read it.
Article on allchgo.com. So become a diehard and get access to that and so much more when you become a diehard.
Yep, and I just want to give a quick shout out. 110 new diehards in the month of January.
Hell yeah!
Like that's a record for us. Our guy,
welcome.
Our guy Braggs has been a big part of getting those diehards signed up, and we've started off February with a bang. We got a whole bunch of new. I just want to give a quick shout out to our newest diehards: Jackie, Nico, Aaron, William, Edie, Mick, Larry, and Jim, all signed up as of today to be new diehards.
Cannot confirm or deny if that was Zach Edie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if it is,
well, you got to get to the bottom of it.
Who recruited him.
Yeah, right. The man in the Purdue sweater.
Yes.
If it is, we get 10 free throws along with Edie.
If someone puts in an order for a 4 extra tall shirt, as their free shirt, we'll know. Do you have the Hawks show in a nightgown, please? Then we'll know it's him. But yeah, sign up to become a diehard, and you can get all this kind of prospect information every week right there on allchgo.com.
Yep. And each week we go through the prospects. We split them up. Greg is the connoisseur of the European prospects and the Rockford Ice Hogs in the AHL. I take a crack at breaking down the North American-based guys playing in the various Canadian junior leagues and then the NCAA and the USHL as well. So we're going to go through some of our prospects that you need to know in the system in our specific areas of expertise. And this is not to say that these are our number 1s through 5. It's just 5 that are important. 5 guys that you should be paying attention to if you aren't already. Me first? You first?
You can go first.
I'll go first. All right. So Mr. Braggs, if you have the graphic up here, we can pull up my 5 on my list, the top prospects that you need to know. A lot of these names, I think, are going to be very familiar to people.
Never heard of any of these guys. I should read that.
You have,
I should read that thing.
You have, of course, Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore, Gavin Hayes, Landon Slaggert, and Nick Lardis. Those are the 5 that I'm going to be breaking down here real quick. We'll go 5-1. We'll make Frank Nazar the main event here, but we'll start out with Nick Lardis, a recent draft pick by the Blackhawks, 3rd round pick, 67th overall in the most recent 2023 NHL draft. We were there for him being introduced to us.
By far the youngest looking member of last year's draft class. I literally thought it was somebody's 11-year-old child sitting at the podium.
Yeah, well, he was 17.
Yeah.
He was a very young guy.
He definitely had never used a razor yet in his life.
it was definitely like seeing
Made
him
me feel so old.
Seeing him walk up to the podium. I was like, the only reason I know who that is when we posted the video, I was like, the only reason I know who that is because I was in the building when they said his name. Otherwise, I would not have known. I would not have known a thing about him. But since the Blackhawks have drafted him, Nick Lardis has made himself quite the prospect to keep an eye out for. He loves scoring goals. I don't know if I have met an 18-year-old kid other than Connor Bedard that loves scoring goals more than Nick Lardis. He has 29 goals in 37 games this season, 50 points on the year. He is in his 3rd full season in the OHL. This is his 2nd season with the now Brantford Bulldogs, used to be the Hamilton Bulldogs, former stomping grounds of McKinley Entwistle. But he's with the Brantford Bulldogs. He spent half of last season with them as well in Hamilton before they relocated, and was originally a part of the Peterborough Petes organization. He had 37 goals and 65 points in a nice amount of games last season between those two teams. So he was on pace to smash his goal scoring and his point records from last year, both which would have been career highs, but he's currently out, as the team is calling it, indefinitely with an upper body injury. I did hear that it might be a wrist issue. I don't know if it's going to be the end of his OHL season or if he'll be able to come back before the end of the year, potentially playing in the postseason for Brantford there. But he turns, like you said, he's a very young kid, turns 19 in July. So he's a guy that, he's not the biggest guy, but he is in that mold of an energy guy, speed guy, has a great shot. You can see by the goal totals, 37 in his draft year, very impressive. Again, 29 this season in 37 games. So he was on at least a 40-goal pace. And as far as kind of looking out to his future, he's a couple years down the road, obviously, turning 19 in July. But as far as like being on the bigger stages where he kind of fits in to, like, let's say Team Canada, at this year's World Juniors, our friend of the program, Scott Wheeler, he was looking ahead to 2025 for Team Canada at the World Juniors. He had Nick Lardis penciled into a 3rd-line role on the 2025 roster. So obviously that's a year out, a lot of time in between now and then. But for someone like that who, we value his analytical eye on prospects, he already had him in the mix there. So that's a good sign there. I like Nick Lardis. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to keep tabs on.
He's definitely an exciting young player. Obviously he's going to need to drink. He's going to need to
put some pounds on.
He's going to need to hang out. He's going to need to intern here for a summer. And we'll get him nice and fattened up.
Next prospect camp, hang out. We'll get some beefs and some pizza.
But he's got a shot that you can't teach, man.
Yeah.
It's he could be an exciting young player, but as you said, a couple years away before we can really start considering him here in Chicago.
Yeah. A guy that we don't have to wait too long to consider here in Chicago, though, is the number 4 guy here on my list, Landon Slaggert, another 3rd-round pick of the Blackhawks, but of a former GM. He was 79th overall in 2020, currently a senior and captain at the University of Notre Dame. He has had a fantastic bounce-back year this year as a senior from his last season in his junior year. Last year, 7 goals, 13 points in 35 games, a tremendously underperforming season, but he was battling through a lot of injuries last year. This year, he's already surpassed his goal and point totals from last year, 16 goals, 25 points in 26 games. He is 1 point off of tying his career high at the NCAA level in points, and he has already set his career high in goals this season as a senior. Again, serving as captain at Notre Dame, I know a lot of people were a little, uneasy. Hey, Slaggert's going back for his 4th year. Sometimes when we see college prospects go back for that 4th year, it means when that season is over, the rights might expire. Right. Questions about whether or not they're going to join the organization. For Slaggert, I never worried about that because the reason for him to come back for his senior year was very easy to understand. His dad's one of the main coaches at Notre Dame. His younger brother Carter is playing there. He played with his older brother Graham in his first 2 years of being at Notre Dame. So it's a family affair with the Slaggerts in South Bend. So it made a lot of sense for him to come back, be captain, play for his dad, play with his brother again. Like that all made sense. And he has himself said he wanted to go back and prove that he was a better player than he showed in his junior season. He turns 22 in June, and just recently, if you missed it, with the Chicago Sun-Times, Ben Pope had a chance to speak with Slaggert. Here's a quote from Slaggert about his future with the organization. He says, quote, "I'm definitely hoping to sign with the Hawks. Seems like the right organization for me for a number of reasons. I feel comfortable with all of the people who have helped me so far. It also feels like the right opportunity and the right spot. I'm excited to see what's in the cards there." Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
A lot of spots open. I think Slaggert will be with the team at the end of this NHL season because I believe Notre Dame's season will end probably in March. So he'll have a few weeks to come here, make his NHL debut, sign his ELC, burn that first year, and then go to Rockford for a few games.
Jay and I went to the Michigan-Notre Dame game early December, talked to him after the game. Definitely a kid that will go between the dots, take a few bumps and bruises to get the puck in the net. And when we talked to him as well, he sounded very confident that he's sticking with the Hawks, and a lot of Eric Condra is part of the Hawks staff, and he's a Notre Dame guy too. So I'm sure
constant contact.
So Slaggert, a comp for Slaggert, he's look at him to be like your 4th line type of scorer. I wouldn't put him up there as like a Dave Bolin. I don't think he has that rat energy that Bolin had.
He's definitely got, but he's got an edge to his game.
Yeah, he'll play physical, but I
would like to think he'll be a smarter Andrew Shaw, maybe a less offensively gifted Brandon Hagel.
There you go.
Push those two things together, you might have Landon Slaggert, and I think that would be wonderful. If that's his ceiling, that's great.
Yeah,
you'll take that anytime. Next guy I have here is Gavin Hayes, another 3rd-round pick in 2022, 66th overall. Also in his 3rd full season in the OHL. He was part of the Team USA World Juniors gold medal team. Him, Oliver Moore, Frank Nazar, and Sam Renzel were all gold medalists this last year at the World Juniors. Hayes had 2 assists at that tournament, played a lower-level role for Team USA because of how talented it was. But when you have a guy who has the ability to put up 40 goals in the OHL playing on your 4th line, you have a pretty talented team. So Hayes is on pace again for a 40-goal season in the OHL. He has 27 goals and 51 points in 35 games this season. Recently was traded to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds from the Flint Firebirds, where he finished his career in Flint as the 2nd all-time leader in points in the team history, so that's pretty impressive. He's already signed his ELC, and he was with Rockford at the end of last year on an ATO. Didn't get in any games, though, but he was around, turns 20 in May. I believe he will turn pro at the end of the OHL season and join Rockford if the seasons line up. If he makes a deep run with the Greyhounds, which it looks like they're a very talented team, they might have a long postseason ahead of them. Maybe the timeline doesn't line up, but I think for sure this is his last year in junior. He'll be a pro next year.
Yeah. See, that Sault Ste. Marie team is pretty pretty talented, and he's been.
And his brother's there too.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Got to play either your hometown
or with your family. Yep.
Yes, those are the two rules. We didn't write it. We just stick to it. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how far they go in the OHL run. If we're going to get to see him, at all in Rockford, it could be like one of those things, like we saw last year with Allen and a couple other players, where they were there, Colton Dock, but they were just there to like practice with the team during the playoffs.
Get used to the surroundings.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then the last two here, two college kids, again, both part of that Team USA gold medal team. Oliver Moore, first-round pick in 2023, the other first-round pick in 2023. He's a freshman at the University of Minnesota.
Who's the first one? I don't remember.
Bednard, I believe.
Oh, yeah, Conrad Bednard, yeah.
He's a true freshman at the University of Minnesota. Turned 19 just last week, so delayed happy birthday to Oliver Moore. 6 goals, 25 points in 26 games this season as a freshman. He had 1 goal and 2 assists at the World Juniors. He was started the tournament at the World Juniors as the 13th forward in the U.S. lineup, and by the time they were playing in the gold medal game, he was on the top line with Minnesota teammate Jimmy Snuggerud, and he was really having a big effect on that line and for Team USA in the medal round. So his game is speed. Like if you want the fastest guy out of the prospect system, it's easily Oliver Moore, and that has created a lot of chances for him this season. His goal scoring has been down, but his shooting percentage, it's not for a lack of trying. With the Blackhawks, they don't have a lot of shots, not a lot of goals. Oliver Moore just has a low shooting percentage, and he's turning it around this last week. He had 3 goals in a 2-game set for Minnesota, so hopefully that opens some floodgates for him. Fourth on the team in scoring as a true freshman. So impressive first NCAA year for Oliver Moore this year with the Golden Gophers. He'll likely go back next year again, and then we'll talk about his timeline after a second year in college.
Sounds right. I mean, there was a reason Kyle Davison was trying to trade up to get him. And then he fell in his lap at 19 and was super excited. If you saw the every shift episode from the draft, he was just so pumped. And there's a reason for that. The kid, he's got a motor on him. And he's got some skill. He's going to be an exciting prospect to watch over the next couple of years.
And finally, Frank Nazar, sophomore at the University of Michigan, 2022 first-round pick, 13th overall, part of the 3 first-round picks that the Blackhawks made in that draft class. He missed pretty much the meat of his freshman year at Michigan. Only got into 13 games last year. He had 7 points. He, if you'll recall, was hurt at some point during the summer of 2022. Played through Blackhawks camp, played through Team USA's camp, and then got to Michigan, and they were like, "You need surgery." So that was a really big bummer for him. But he has stormed back this year in his sophomore year. 13 goals, 32 points in 24 games at Michigan. He is currently 2 points back of the team lead held by Rutger McGority. Wonderful name. Third on the team in scoring. He had 8 assists at the World Juniors. Those accounted for all 8 of his points. Turned 20 in January at the tournament. And he is, I think by all accounts, going to be making his NHL debut, depending on the end of Michigan's season, by the end of this NHL season. I really think the Blackhawks believe he's ready to go. If you guys talked to him when he went to the game in Notre Dame back in December, I think he's a very confident guy. He's very confident in himself. I think if you were to ask him, I think he'd say he's pretty much ready to go. I think he makes his NHL debut at the end of this season. Probably gets maybe that Vlasic Kaiser kind of treatment where it's like, let's try you in the NHL. If it doesn't really work out, no problems. We'll send you down to Rockford, make sure you got your game going there, and then we'll see you again real soon next season. So I really have if it wasn't Connor Bedard, I think Frank Nazar by a lot of accounts would be looked at as the top prospect. This was from Frank Saravalli of the Daily Faceoff prior to the World Junior Championship gold medal game. He said, "I was talking to someone in Chicago, and I said, what if Connor Bedard wasn't there? Who would be the Blackhawks all-star representative this year? You'd have a field day trying to pick that, but The answer, and maybe the correct one, was Frank Nazar. I doubt he'd be playing there, but still, nonetheless, speaks to how well he has played at this tournament that he would even be on the radar.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe a few NHL games at the end of this season, and then training camp. You know, I would think they'd want to get him some Rockford time, but
Spot's probably open for him at training camp.
But if he makes it impossible for him, he may not ever play a game in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. We'll see. Definitely a player to be excited about. Before we take a break and get to my prospects from Europe, I want to address our guy Lebowski 5 making false accusations in the chat. Just about the Dave Bolin. I do not hate Dave Bolin. Dave Bolin is one of my all-time favorite Blackhawks. I have a Dave Bolin original Winter Classic jersey in my closet somewhere. But in regards to the Slaggert, I don't think Slaggert's nearly as good as Bolin. That was what I was trying to say. Like, I'm not putting him in the same level as the Dave Bolin. That's what I meant. Like, he doesn't have that edge that Bolin played with, and Bolin was an amazing junior player that figured it out pretty early on. That, like, I'm not going to be able to do that at this level.
Yeah.
So I got to do something different.
He tweaked his game kind of like down a notch offensively to be more effective, whereas I think Slaggert, to be the most effective, will have his tweak his game up a little bit. So
that when I was asked if that was, I don't think Slaggert is in the same category as a Dave Bolin. If he gets to that point, that's
wonderful,
amazing. Yeah. But no, I hold Dave Bolin on a pedestal. I just want to make that clear.
There you go.
All right. Also, making things clear is our love of bacon. Right?
Yeah, there's no questioning the love of bacon.
I love Dave Bolin, and I love bacon.
On this podcast or in this company. Charlie the Bacon Guy, that is our bacon hookup. He is based out of Woodridge, Illinois, and makes craft bacon and bacon jams in over 35 flavors. The bacon and bacon jams are all naturally cured, preservative-free products. There aren't any ingredients in Charlie's bacon that he cannot himself pronounce, and unlike most store-bought bacon, that's kind of what you're going to get. Bacon's good all around, you know, but if you want the best stuff, if you want the best stuff in your bacon, you're going to get it from Charlie. It's vacuum sealed and freezes perfectly. Bacon lasts in the package up to 60 days in the fridge, 1 week after the seal is broken, if you're one of those people who doesn't finish their package of bacon all in one sitting.
Who doesn't eat bacon a pound at a time?
I don't know.
Weirdos. That's who.
It also lasts 9 months in the freezer, and the bacon jam lasts up to 90 days in the fridge and 1 year in the freezer. If you have bacon jam in your freezer for 1 year untouched,
bacon jam doesn't last 90 seconds in my house.
I question your commitment to bacon jam.
Yeah, or you've got a really overpacked freezer and you forgot it's there.
Or you bought
You need
bulk.
to clean out your freezer.
Some of the favorite flavors of the bacon include maple pepper, rosemary, chorizo, French toast, jardiniere, ranch, Old Bay, and Korean barbecue. Bacon jam flavors come in original, spicy, and bourbon. So starting right now, you can save 10% on your orders at charliethebaconguy.com. When you use the code CHGO at checkout, you can pick it up. It's the most efficient way. He'll deliver it to you, meet you halfway, or ship it. And it makes bacon. He makes the bacon so that you can bring it home. Try the Bacon Guy. Delicious bacon.
Yes.
Never gone wrong. Never gonna go wrong. Never gonna give you up.
All right, thank you, Mario Astley.
That's not in the read.
No,
I
like that. Good information. Yeah. So, if you're eating a whole bunch of Charlie's delicious bacon, you get some bacon grease down the front of your favorite shirt. You gotta go visit our new friends at CD One Price Cleaners.
Get it cleaned up.
They're gonna take care of all of your bacon grease stained garments, all for the same price. Customers can save over 30% on their dry cleaning bill by switching to CD One Price Cleaners. Other cleaners charge a different price for every garment type. Plus, they have upcharges, and you may pay a different price each time you visit. At CD One Price Cleaners, they charge just one price for any garment. It's right there in the name. Yep, even your favorite sports jersey, if they're dry cleanable, I got yelled at for this the other day, it's going to be the same low price. CD One Price Cleaners has your orders ready the same or the next day. Other cleaners could take 2 to 4 days to have your garments ready. You don't have to wait. You pay one low price. I don't see any downside to this.
No.
Plus, they're going to send you a text alert when it's ready. You don't have to walk in wondering if it's done or not. They'll text you, hey, Come get your favorite dry clean sports jersey that no longer has bacon grease stain in it. They got a wide variety of services to offer you: dry cleaning, wash and fold laundry, blankets and comforters, tailoring and alterations, leather cleaning, and area rug cleaning. Anything you can put a bacon grease spot on, they can get it out for you. Visit chgo.cd1, that's the word one, spell it out, one.com. Once there, you can pick from an in-store coupon or online pickup and delivery coupon options. Once again, it's chgo.cdone.com.
Yes. All right. Shall we get to the Europeans?
Yes, let's try our Europeans. I decided to just talk about 5 of the European prospects. These aren't necessarily the best prospects in the system, but it's a lot easier to find information on the guys playing in Rockford.
Yes.
There's highlights and interviews and articles all over the place. It's a little harder to get information on the guys over in Europe. So these are the 5 guys I'm going to quickly go over for you today. We have a couple of Russian prospects: Ilya Safonov, Roman Kantsarov, and then in Sweden we have Victor Stjernborg, Yuri Feltzman, who's playing in Switzerland right now, and Jani Peltonen, a young defenseman in Finland. I'm going to start with Peltonen. He was the 7th round pick of this last draft, the last pick for the Blackhawks, 195th overall. He's currently playing in the under 20 league for Karpat in Finland. He's had an uptick in offense production this year. He's got 5 goals and 14 points in 37 games and a plus 15 rating. He's a left-handed shot defenseman, 6'3", 185 pounds. So he fits that mold of the Hawks. Big body, good skater. He has a long reach that helps kind of his defensive flaws. As I mentioned, he checks a lot of He checks a lot of boxes. In the Kyle Davidson "Are you a Blackhawk" checklist. He's got 2 more seasons of contract there, but he's only 18. This is a guy that, a long-term project. I don't know if he has an NHL future ahead of him, but he's going to be in Finland for at least 2 more years before you even think about bringing him over to Rockford. At that point, he'll only be 20, 21 years old, so he may even stay there even longer.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of those European prospects, especially defensemen, they get like 4 or 5 seasons after being drafted.
Yeah. So, I have no idea. I can't project if he's got a long-term NHL future, but he has been an intriguing prospect. He's played real well in the U20 league there. And he's dressed for, he's been called up to Liga, the top league, but hasn't gotten into a game yet. It's really weird. Like, I don't know how they do it. I can't really get an explanation. He's listed as having 2 games played for the top tier team, but when you look up at those game logs, it's 0 ice time. So I don't know if it's like an extra.
Probably was dressed as an extra and then sat the entire game.
So he's still looking to get on the ice, but again, 18, long-term prospect, but definitely a kid to keep an eye on over the next couple of years. From there, we're going to go to Switzerland, another prospect from this past draft. Yuri Feltzman, I hope I'm butchering so many names with the European.
Feltzman, I believe it was.
When I did the official pronunciation on Elite Prospects, they pronounce it Feltzman.
Feltzman?
Like the C is a Z.
Oh, okay.
So,
gotcha. All right.
Well, when we get Yuri this summer, we'll ask him. But he was a 3rd-round pick this last year. This is a guy that the Hawks are lacking. Big. 6'4", almost 200 pounds at 18, plays center. He's played all 3 levels of the Swiss League this year. He's had his best success at the U20 level, where he's got 7 goals, 18 points in 20 games. I believe to start the year he had like 15 points in his first 14 games. He's played 13 games in the Swiss League, which is like their equivalent to the AHL, where he's got 2 goals and 4 points. 2 goals, 4 points in 13 games. He's also got 1 assist in 5 National League games, the top tier pro league. So he's bounced around all 3 leagues. When you're 6'4" and you play center, you're going to get a look all over the place. Big center, solid skater for his size. The Blackhawks kind of see him as a future bottom six center that has some size and some good hockey IQ down the middle.
That's what they lack.
Switzerland is one of those programs that can surprise a team at the World Junior. Don't be surprised if he's makes that team next year.
That'd be fun.
Be fun to see him. Even Peltonen might have an outside shot. Finland, though, likes to use older players. So he might be 2 years before he gets to that point. But definitely someone to keep an eye on. We saw a little bit of him. He was at training camp this year. I think he even got into a game, if I'm not
I think
mistaken.
he played at least one preseason game. Yeah.
So the Hawks are high on him, and we'll see what happens.
The two guys here on your list that I think fit what the Blackhawks are lacking. One of them is Feltzman, and the other is Ilya Safonov, who you get to.
Yeah. Yep. Foreshadowing. Let's take a moment to talk about Victor Stjernborg.
I like this kid.
He's from the 2021 draft class, the last draft class that he should not be named, which may turn out to be his best ever draft class. A fourth rounder. I'm probably going to butcher this too. The Växjö Lakers, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Växjö,
it's like Warschau. Henrik Lundqvist pronounced it on a TNT broadcast one time I was watching. I was that's
you go to these like how to pronounce it, and each site is slightly different.
Sure.
So, but the Lakers over there, I can pronounce that. They're one of Sweden's,
top teams.
They're a long tradition powerhouse. Type team. This has been his first full season in the Swedish Hockey League. He actually played for Sweden in the World Juniors last year. Was really effective.
He was captain, wasn't he?
Yes, I believe he was.
Yeah.
He was actually player of the game in one of the games as well. He's got 5 goals, 13 points in his 34 games. He missed almost the entire month of December due to injury, but since coming back, he's been playing his best hockey in January. Has 6 points in his last 7 games, including a recent 4-game point streak.
Oh yeah!
To do that at 20 in the SHL is pretty
impressive.
Yeah, he's one of these high motor, high energy guys, just constantly moving, constantly skating, really good defensively, and I think the Blackhawks are looking for him to be like a fourth liner PK kind of guy,
energy guy.
Think younger version. Slightly bigger of what Colin Blackwell does. That's what Victor Stjernborg does.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, so maybe next year, Rockford, maybe. It's a possibility.
That sounds good.
It's
a guy that's about 21 into the AHL, ease him in.
So I think, that would be a good, another player to keep an eye on, and he's going to bring that kind of like grittiness that you also need with the high skill. Another good skater that was drafted before Kyle Davidson. That Kyle Davidson's like, hey, I like that guy.
He's keeping him around. Yeah, what I like about the opportunity that a lot of these European prospects get is that when they get to when they're like 18, 19, 20, even 21. And you're playing at the top league of a if it's in Germany or Finland or Sweden, whatever, you're playing against men.
Yeah.
Like it's not only like it's not only playing against some of the best like young players that are still overseas, but you're also playing against like guys that have been in it for like veterans of hockey. So you talk about a guy like Stjernborg who's had portions of seasons as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old in the SHL, now as a 20-year-old playing full-time in the Pro League in Sweden, which is like I'd say one of the best 4 leagues in the world.
It's definitely there.
Up there.
It's up there. It's no slouch.
So yeah, I mean, it's that is impressive to be playing at that level at that point for these guys. So it's definitely nothing to shake your nose at.
Yep, and we're going to move on. My final 2 guys, both playing in the KHL in Russia. We'll start with Roman Kantsarov, who was a second-round pick this past summer. Kind of a guy that we were all like, okay.
It was
a little under the radar guy, but he was a guy that he got picked right about where he was supposed to. The scouts before the draft said late first, early second. A guy that, if he played 10 years ago, probably never would have got drafted. Only 5'9", a bit undersized, but has that skill that makes you overlook the fact that he's undersized. He missed 3 weeks with a shoulder injury, but just recently came back, and since coming back, has put up a couple goals and a couple assists in 6 games. He's got 6 goals and 13 points in 44 games. But this is a kid, 18 years old, playing in the KHL, arguably the second or third best league behind the NHL. And when you're a kid in those leagues, your time on ice may suffer, and his has fluctuated.
Yeah.
He's played as low as 6 minutes a game to all the way up to like 6 minutes a game or 16 minutes a game. I say he's around like 12 minutes a game on average.
As an 18-year-old in the KHL, that's wonderful.
It is.
Like,
I mean, just look at Mahe Michkov's time, and he's getting loaned out, and he's a much better player.
Yeah, he had to be sent to a different team to get playing time.
Yeah, he's got high hockey IQ, very good passer, good playmaker. I can envision him, setting up Connor Bedard, setting up, Nick Lardis, the shooters on the team, and picking up a ton of assists. He does need to work on his speed a little bit and getting stronger on the puck, but he's recently signed a 2-year extension with his KHL team, so he's going to be there for 2 seasons beyond here, which is no big deal, probably expected. Let him develop playing in a top professional league instead of playing in the AHL, which, so he'll be 21 when he's ready to come over, and we'll see if that's when he decides to sign with the Hawks, or maybe he stays there for another year or two.
2 years down the road might be a good time to try and come to Chicago.
It might be, because when you look, you've got a lot of these guys who signed 2-year deals for the Hawks. Won't be, there'll be roster spots open.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for him to develop playing in the KHL over the AHL, and especially if he exceeds there.
Yeah, and some players are going to be better conditioned to playing in North America, where the rinks are smaller, games a little bit faster, things have to happen quicker. Some guys are going to be more well conditioned to doing that when they've gotten out of their teenage years. They've gotten a little older, a little more mature, can see the game a little quicker.
Yeah, for sure. And the last guy we're going to talk about is Ilya Safonov. Another member of the 2021 draft class, a 6th-round pick. He may turn out to be a steal in that draft. He's playing for Akbars Kazan in the KHL. Now, this was a guy that really turned heads last year. He had a breakout season last year. He had 19 goals, 37 points in 64 games, and even served as team captain when former NHLer Alex Radulov went down with injury. He's still an assistant this season. His numbers are down, at least offensively. He's got 11 goals, 18 points in 56 games. KHL's almost done with their regular season already. Got to remember, they start in August, and their playoffs are usually done by end of March. So they're going to be in playoffs soon. Yeah. So his regular season's almost over. The biggest issue with him and why his numbers are down, his shooting percentage is about the same as it was last year. He's just shooting far less. I think last year he had about 130 shots on goal, and he's got under 80 right now. So he's going to be about 40 to 50 shots fewer this season than last season. But, his shooting's coming around. And I think in 4 out of his last 6 games, he's gotten at least 3 shots on goal.
That's good.
So he's heating up a bit. He's won over 57% of his faceoffs this season, and he's another big guy. 6'4", 207 pounds, plays center. He's got 1 more year left on his KHL contract, so you're talking he might be ready to come over after next season when he's 22, turning 23. If you want to make a comp, this could be the guy that replaces, think maybe getting Jason Dickinson, but 5-6 years younger. He could be the guy that comes here and becomes the next Jason Dickinson at 24 as opposed to 29.
Right.
So he's got the size, he's got some skill, plays well defensively, wins faceoffs, could be your ideal third-line center for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, if he can come in, provide some size down the middle with a little bit of scoring touch at a younger age, that's fantastic. And that's something the Blackhawks are missing in their prospect system is size and skill down the middle. He's got a good mixture of it, and we know that he can break some bones.
Yes,
he's the breaker of Kirby Dach's wrist.
Yes, he
back
is
at the World Juniors.
He is.
So I like Safonov. I'm excited about his future. I really, really hope he comes over.
Yeah, it would be great to see him here sooner rather than later. Hopefully he doesn't become. Now I can't even remember his
Max
name.
Shalunov.
Yeah, Shalunov.
How could you forget?
Yes, sorry. Scott Powers is a white whale.
Yes, yeah.
Hopefully that we don't have that situation, but one more year at least in the KHL, and then maybe we'll see him here in the NHL. It'd be great. I think he's going to be a pretty good depth player for the Blackhawks for years to come.
That would be nice.
All right. Well, we were going to do a little all-star draft talk.
We could do it in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, all right. Sure, why not?
All right, NHL All-Star Draft is tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to get this event back into the All-Star weekend. Hopefully it sticks around. And the last times that they've had it was, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It's a good opportunity for these guys to show off a little personality, have a little fun with each other. We had Nick Foligno in studio a couple weeks ago talking about his experience with the I think it was the last NHL All-Star Draft back in 2015. So there's a lot of opportunities for some fun to be had. So tonight it'll be interesting. The 4 teams are going to be drafted, but Greg and I are going to put together, out of the current NHL All-Star list, our ideal All-Star teams for the 3-on-3 format. 3 skaters, 1 defenseman. Greg, I will concede the first pick to you.
Okay, then.
I wonder who it's going to be.
It's going to be Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid.
Not Bedard.
Not Bedard. Bedard, though, as I saw in our preview screen here, is in Toronto for All-Star Weekend.
Yes.
Late last night, saw a announcement from his hockey equipment sponsor, Sherwood Hockey, that he is going to be at Maple Leaf Square in Toronto on Saturday doing a shooting demonstration. And, so hopefully no slap shots.
Giving you pointers on how to make your meals in a blender.
Yeah. We'll also be doing some soup demonstrations.
Yes.
So Bedard's there. I don't know how much he'll actually do with the NHL All-Star Weekend specifically, but he is in Toronto. We'll see if he gets any availability. But yeah. So your first pick is McDavid. I'm going to go with his counterpart as fastest and best player in the league, Nathan MacKinnon.
There you go. That can't go wrong with Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah.
Man, this year's Hart Trophy is going to be insane. So many guys worthy of it, more than usual. All right, so you got MacKinnon. I got McDavid. Since the game is in Toronto, I need to get the home fans on my side.
Oh, this is a begrudging pick.
So I guess I'll have to add Austin Matthews to Connor McDavid.
Okay. If you twist your arm.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with teammates here. I'm going to get Nathan MacKinnon, and I'm going to get Cale Makar.
See, I almost did Makar there too.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to go off of the bump of our friends over at What Chaos. I am taking the captain and assistant captain of the Piss team of Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. Go listen to yesterday's episode if you want to get that reference.
All right. Well, I kind of want a defenseman because I want to at least give the idea that I'm going to play a little bit
the
of
illusion
defense.
of defense.
So, yeah, give me Quinn Hughes. So I'll take McDavid, Matthews, and Quinn Hughes.
Fantastic pick. All right. So I need a forward to go with Nathan MacKinnon and someone who's going to keep up with Cale Makar as well. I think Leon Draisaitl makes a great choice, but I want some style on my team.
I knew this is where you were going.
I am picking. I'm also going to get a hometown, host event player. Give me William Nylander.
I knew that was coming. Hey, I'd love to see Austin Matthews
style.
And William Nylander mix it up on an opposing team.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. We need goalies. I'm going to take.
Technically, we need goalies.
Yeah. I'm going to take the guy who I think is the best goalie in the National Hockey League right now. Give me Connor Hellebuyck.
That's a great pick. Connor Hellebuyck is fantastic. I would take him on my team 1,000 times out of 1,000. I'm going to go in net. I'm going to go with looking at the guys that are available. I mean, Bobrovsky, is he the best talented guy that's there? Maybe. But I'm going to go with first-time All-Star Jeremy Swayman.
We were just calling him a fraud yesterday.
Well, I want to make it up to him, and I'll make it up to him, and I'll make amends with Pete. I'll take Jeremy Swayman there.
All right. It will be in a 3-on-3 game that I would watch the living hell out of.
Oh, hell yeah.
We've got Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Quinn Hughes, and Connor Hellebuck versus Nathan McKinnon, William Nylander, Cale Makar, and Jeremy Swayman.
Nice. I think those teams would do very well.
I'm going to go home on NHL 94 and do a 3-on-3 rush game with those lineups. Just to see who happens.
Yeah, let's sim it up. That'd be a lot of
fun. We'll go online and play each other in that and see who wins. We'll let you know.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. That is going to wrap up this chocked full of good stuff and some bad stuff.
Very full
show here. Thanks to Greg Braggs for sticking around a little later and getting the production side done. And thanks to Mario here for putting together his list. Thank all of you for watching. I know you guys love the prospects. We're definitely going to try and do more of the prospect stuff. Don't forget, become a diehard, and you're going to get access to all of our rebuild reports. Plus, you're going to get on the Discord. We're going to be doing some more live chats in there as well. Voice chats, video chats.
Might jump in tomorrow.
There you go. Tomorrow, speaking of tomorrow, I know we got to keep apologizing. We're on, our schedule is so screwy this week. 2 p.m. tomorrow, a 2 p.m. show.
Central Time.
We'll have the all-star teams rosters done, so we'll talk about that.
Skills
competition, maybe share some all-star game memories. And who knows, maybe some news will happen. Maybe another giant trade will happen. And
that'd be fine.
We have something to talk about. We'll be here
Trade
at
someone
2
else
o'clock.
who's at the all-star weekend.
Yes. We'll be here at 2 p.m. tomorrow, CHGO Blackhawks podcast, which once again is presented by ComEd. It's getting easier for your business to switch to electric vehicles. Learn more at comed.com/clean, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2.
We all silly like the mayor.